John Diddy Combs, six new accusers lining up outside his door saying it's time to be accountable for your actions. These are civil suits being brought by Tony Busby, the attorney that says he has more than 120 people ready to file. And some of them minors, some of them men, some of them women, kind of an equal split, three different ways, actually, when you take a look at it. And the accusations are horrifying, but very much in line with what we've heard thus far of the world of Diddy. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. Okay, six new ones, including someone who is a minor at the time. These apparently have been vetted fairly well by Tony Busby before bringing the cases to the court system. What's your reaction on all these?
Well, my reaction is expected. I think we all sort of expected that this was coming. It was announced previously. And when we heard the initial allegations, all the buzz in Hollywood, all the buzz in the true crime community, all the buzz amongst law enforcement is that there are so many more victims. And here they come.
hmm it's a crack right now in the floodgate in the dam here. There's going to be a lot more to come. What do you make of this? This is something new, and this does not necessarily pertain to these civil cases right now. Diddy is asking the feds to release the identities of the accusers over there, the ones that are making the accusations. They claim the anonymousness of them forces them into a guessing game when it comes to trying to investigate this and gather exculpatory evidence for Diddy. Knowing the identities could allow the defense to challenge some of the inconsistencies in the accuser's stories and locate witnesses to refute their claims. Right now, they're John Doe's, Jane Doe's, all of that. It seems like a great way to put attention off of Diddy and onto other people. And it also would expose a lot of people who don't want to be exposed. Is this in any way a reasonable request from the defense of Diddy?
I think it's reasonable. It's reasonable that at some point he has to get these names, and it needs to be sooner rather than later because you can't you can't mount any sort of defense against ghosts,
hmm
people with no names. Now, one could argue, well, he probably knows exactly who they are by the specificity of the allegations, but nevertheless, he is entitled to know who his accusers are. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being accused by John Doe and
hmm
not knowing who John Doe is? I understand it is a double-edged sword from the standpoint of now they're exposed and could face, oh my gosh, a litany of horrible things from his entourage and his supporters and his crew. He's got, $1 billion. So it could be harmful, but they're going to have to come forward at some point.
hmm Do they have to come forward publicly? I guess would be the question. Or can this be something under seal that, okay, yes, the defense of Diddy can find out so they can mount their defense correctly? Or would this be something that, if unsealed, if revealed, would have to be to the public?
It needs to be sealed, I think, particularly at this point in time. It should be sealed to protect those individuals. But he needs to have them. I think this is the big problem. Even if under seal, I'm just afraid that it would all be leaked. And I'm sure that is what the accusers are afraid of and why they don't want to have their name exposed at all to Diddy. But the bottom line is they're going to have to expose their name.
When these people went forward and talked to the grand jury and talked to the investigators, would they have been given any sort of promise or guarantee that their name would not be exposed?
No, I'll tell you how this works
hmm
is, and we have, as an example, in the federal system with the FBI, we have two sets of informants, if you will. We have informants that we keep completely confidential. Their name is never exposed,
hmm
ever. And then we have that set that we call them cooperating witnesses. In other words, they have agreed to come forward.
hmm
And so the minute you put a witness on the stand in a federal grand jury, you've you've crossed the line between what we used to call a 137 and a 270. You've crossed the line between being a confidential informant and being a cooperating witness. So the minute they were called to that grand jury, uh, they risked exposure. Not that they had any choice.
Hmm.
I will say that because when you're under federal grand jury subpoena, it's not like you have a choice.
Sure, it's going to happen either way if the government feels that that's the direction that they want to go with this. I want to talk about another aspect of this case about against Diddy and all of the accusations that we're hearing about him, and that's that of Kanye West. We are hearing accusations this week that Kanye came to a Diddy party with his former assistant and then sexually assaulted her at the Diddy party. These are the accusations. It's a civil suit that's being brought by his former assistant right now. I guess what's coming to mind is like, why go to the Diddy party and this is where you are going to sexually assault your assistant? Um, it just starts to make me wonder. Like, it's like Diddy created this land, this safe place in a weird way for predators to kind of do whatever they want. I mean, if this is assistant, I'm assuming they probably have many moments together in private where others are not going to see or hear about these sort of things. And I mean, if a predator is usually going to attack somebody, they don't want to be found out. But doing it at a Diddy party, safe space. I mean, what do you think might have been going on there if this accusation is true?
Well, that was the first thing I thought. I mean, really, this is just it's a brothel. It's a situation where, if we're to believe all the allegations, where these individuals came and they used baby oil and they used, drugs, and they had their way with whoever they invited. And the question is going to be again, and this is the defense, is that it was really voluntary. It
Mhm.
wasn't anything that was salacious as is being described.
Yeah.
That's the defense. And I don't think it's going to stand
Hmm.
the test of the facts. But yeah, I think Kanye, this was the party house. This was
Hmm.
the place to go for the best time. And, in their terms, I suppose. And, Tony, I think that there were probably multiple people there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just seeing this as almost a huge orgy.
Yeah, and here's what I'm wondering about that. If someone's sexually assaulting somebody, deciding to do this at a public location or at a private party with other people around, I'm guessing it's probably not the first time they've done something like this. It's probably something they do. It's not just usually a one-off for somebody where I'm going to go sexually assault somebody today, and then tomorrow I'm never doing it again. That's not how people work that do these sort of things. It makes you wonder, and I am wondering here if this suit was brought by the former assistant, Lauren Piscata, because of where it took place. It does make me wonder if he did this any other place to her, but because this is a setting that may have witnesses. This is a setting that may have cameras. This is a setting that may be able to prove that this actually did take place. And it's not just a he said, she said in his office somewhere, some studio where there's no way to truly verify this of actually happening.
Well, exactly. Initially when the search warrants were executed and we found out in the public the extent of the camera coverage that was throughout that mansion, uh, it became very obvious that most of what happened in there is going to be recorded. And because Diddy was truly, truly blindsided, and my hat goes off to the DHS investigators because this was a lot of work they put in, and they kept everything quiet and everything under the hat, even though working with multiple um, branches, right, locals as well. They were blindsided. So those videos, it would seem, are completely intact and are going to be just so voluminous. And Kanye likely made a huge mistake of, if it's true, committing this act in Diddy's videotaped surroundings.
What the hell was Diddy thinking videotaping this sort of stuff? I mean, one can easily jump to kind of the Epstein idea of, well, it's blackmail material. I have this on tape. If I want somebody to do something for me, I can threaten to expose this. And maybe that was the thought process, but it seemed to completely elude him that someday people may go and look for these and for the criminal aspect of them to charge him. And there it is, all there on tape. If you're committing crimes, you probably don't want to put it on tape, but that's exactly what he did.
Well, I think it was twofold. I agree with you. The blackmail situation with these videos was huge. I also wonder, though, if it wasn't for his own pleasure. I
Yeah.
mean, reliving some of these very particular incidents that, may have taken place there, that rewatching them.
Mhm.
And then finally, I think he just believed he was untouchable. This had gone on for years, and I think he felt shielded and nothing was ever going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And this is also marked by the fact he didn't try to flee.
True.
That still is mind boggling. Vietnam awaited, $1 billion, no extradition.
Yeah.
I think he just thought he would skate.
He could fly away with Harvey Adelson and they could be the weirdest bedfellows in the world in Vietnam. They make a great sitcom, Harvey and Diddy. Um, let's talk about just that, about the cameras, about the parties, about the people that attended the parties. And I'm not talking just the white parties, I'm talking the Diddy freak off parties. People who may look back on that in shame and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I was maybe younger, maybe dumber, maybe under the influence of drugs with the baby oil, maybe beyond their knowledge, beyond their control of what was going on with the accusations that we have of GHB or something similar being in the baby oil, especially individuals that were young, that were brought up, that were groomed by Diddy from very young ages, like 14 or 15, thinking this is how the celebrity lifestyle is. This is what it's like when you are a superstar, because they may have been coming up as superstars themselves. And now they're going to find themselves caught in this mess. If you're that type of person, if you are that person, and I think we all know likely who we're talking about here, um, is it wise to sit in silence about this and not come forward if you know that maybe you are on some of these tapes, that you were participating in some of these things? Would it be more wise at this point to go to the authorities and say, look, I have information, I can help you out. I was under the influence of this, I was groomed, I this and would that getting ahead of this, if you know eventually you're likely going to have your name dropped at some point, would that help an individual like that to get away from criminal charges, or maybe find some sort of a deal where it's you're helping us and you two actually were the victim, rather than it play out in the court of public opinion of was this person a victim or not?
Well, I think likely people may have gone forward
Hmm.
and we just don't know. Now we're talking about, as an example, the people who testified before the grand jury that are still anonymous. And again, did they go to authorities or
Hmm.
did authorities go to them? I think many probably have already gone to authorities. And in this situation, maybe these minors or this one minor that we all believe is likely going to be named and caught up in this suit. I mean, all of us have seen the videos. It has to be so alluring when you're 14, 15, 16 and such a talent, but you want somebody to launch you.
Hmm.
And then you look at somebody with Diddy's stature
Yeah.
in that community and say, "Whoa,
Yeah.
this is all for me." And Diddy took advantage. I think that that's going to come out, and I think these people will try to get ahead of it. I think they will cooperate.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a twisted world where who knows what went on. And I'm not saying that that individual was doing anything, predatory or whatnot, but we just don't know. We don't know what the answer to that question is. If your you know leader here, your I was going to say Vanguard. I'm thinking of Keith Raniere, uh, and Nexium. If you're Vanguard, if you're the person you look up to is participating in these things, doing these things, treating women and men in these sort of ways, and you don't know any better, you're going to probably start doing the same thing yourself. You're probably going to walk away at some point feeling disgusted, going, "Oh my god, I can't believe that," and ashamed, which is probably where that person is right now. At least, I mean, that's what we're hearing about that person right now. We're hearing statements like that. A very interesting post article coming out a couple weeks ago, talking about the individual who's named or is not named, but is alluded to, feeling very, mad, upset, sad, ashamed of that time in their life and wants to stay away from it. And then we incidentally hear very interesting, similar things from a man named Justin Bieber, uh, feeling he wants to completely be away from Diddy, doesn't want anything to do with him. Feels like he was victimized possibly back then. Of course, never has never been charged with anything. He's never charged Diddy with anything, but he was there in these times when Diddy was allegedly victimizing all of these people. Not saying that Bieber is involved, but that name has certainly been floating around quite a bit. And people want to know, what did he know? When did he know it? What was his participation in this sort of thing? But at the end of the day, I think we're really looking at another victim here, in my opinion, that really was completely taken advantage of. And now his life is, completely up in the
Yeah, there's a very telling video. I don't know if you've seen it, Tony, but they are together outside of one of Diddy's vehicles,
air. Hmm.
and basically Diddy corners him. Hey, I thought you were gonna come around again. Hey, I thought I was going to see you. You just kind of tuned me out. I'm totally paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
this was the message. And Bieber's, oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I thought my guy was going to get a hold of your guy, like
Yeah.
they're, you know, handlers. And it's the most uncomfortable scene. Diddy kind of puts his hands on Bieber's chest and kind of feels them. I wondered if he might be feeling him for a wire,
He is. Yeah,
actually.
I would guess so. I mean, the
Um,
way he was doing that in that video, it looked like it was, and that tells you right there a lot. It tells Diddy knows
yes,
he's done some bad stuff, and this guy could expose him.
yeah, I just think that whole video was a microcosm of what Justin Bieber is feeling, how he, is reacting now. I think he'll go forward if he hasn't already,
Yeah.
if indeed he knows what went on and if he was victimized. I'm not surprised, Tony, back to your other question, that he has remained quiet.
Mhm.
And I'm not surprised because who wants to go forward and talk about that until you're forced? And I
Yeah.
think we'll see it coming, though.
Yeah, I think we will too. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, again, we don't know all the details. At the end of the day, he could be a huge advocate for abuse and being taken advantage of. I mean, certainly it happens in these big celebrity type circles and things like that, but it can happen on a smaller scale too. Somebody young and impressionable being groomed. It happens every single day in America, and it oftentimes is overlooked. So again, this is something where I think it could be used to help heal not only himself but others as well. But I think we'll find out more details soon as far as just what the involvement was, if at all. Again, all speculation. There's nothing that has been charged of him. There's no accusations. He's never said anything about being a victim of Diddy or anything of that nature. All pure speculation, but certainly um, a lot of smoke around this that makes you wonder if there's a fire there.
Well, and I think too, Tony, that an important part of all of this is who is going to be outed as other people who victimized in this way.
Yeah.
So we've had Kanye West mentioned, but who else? Who else is out there that was victimizing people in the, sexually assaulting,
Yeah.
raping, taking advantage of, drugging? Diddy is kind of the key person. It's so interesting because when you look at a criminal enterprise like this, it is so unusual to get the head guy first,
Hmm.
right? It's like doing the Gambino investigation and getting the head of the investigation first, right?
Hmm.
Because you still want to get the underlings because at the end of the day, they were involved in making the criminal enterprise successful
Hmm.
and the reason these crimes were able to be committed. So I think we're going to see people below Diddy, but more importantly, I want to see who else was involved in crimes like this and what other people are going to be exposed uh, in terms of full on participation and victimizing others.
Do you think we're going to see other people just as big as Diddy coming out here as names of being accused of participating in this stuff or facilitating these sort of things? Is Diddy really the top man in all this, or could there be others? Or could this be a ring of several high profile individuals, high power individuals on the same or close to level of Diddy that essentially, kind of shared these people around?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I mean, Kanye West, I consider to be, a pretty successful star in his own right.
Hmm.
So I think we're going to see a lot of these very well-known names, these very, arguably talented individuals who have made a lot of money in the entertainment industry that are going to be exposed, and maybe even the political,
Hmm.
theater and other theaters also,
Yeah.
individuals from other realms besides entertainment that are well known.
Yeah.
Government, local government, state, federal, we don't know. But you and I talked about this, the New York mayor,
Yeah.
he hasn't been charged with anything to do with this particularly, but he did give away the key to the city.
That's a big statement right there. And it's not necessarily one of, hey, I was at the Diddy parties, but it's, hey, we're tight, we're good. And if
Yeah.
you want someone of in power to look away at the things you may be holding in that jurisdiction or going on in that jurisdiction at your house, the mayor's a good person to have on your side. And so it does make you wonder if that tightness there was more so, you let me do my thing, I'm going to do what you do yours, and we're going to coexist in this happy way. And it does make you wonder if there's any sort of under the table things going on to allow him to thrive for all of those years, doing pretty much whatever he wanted to do. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.